Have you ever looked at a pile of stones or a piece of driftwood and thought, could this become something beautiful? In today's video, we'll unlock 20 rustic DIY projects that turn the simplest materials into breathtaking garden accents. From glowing lanterns and magical arches to whimsical fairy cottages, you'll see ideas that are affordable, practical, and stunning. Welcome to Archon Aesthetic Studio, where we explore creative ways to transform your backyard into a place of beauty and inspiration. Remember, this video has timestamps so you can jump right to your favorite project. And if a spark of inspiration hits, share it in the comments. I'd love to hear your ideas. Maybe to you, I'm just another face on a screen. But behind this content, there's a real story, a real family, and a dream that keeps going because of you. Every like, every comment, every subscribe, it matters more than you know. One, Driftwood Welcome Towers with Pathway Uplights. Imagine walking through your garden and being greeted by sculptural towers that feel both natural and artistic. Creating these Driftwood Welcome Towers is simpler than it looks, yet the effect is breathtaking. Start with sturdy rebar stakes driven firmly into the soil, making sure they stand tall and secure. Slide smooth river stones, varying in size for a balanced silhouette, down each stake, stacking them to hip height. Near the top, use flatter stones for stability, and wedge in smaller pebbles as shims if needed. Finally, crown the tower with a dramatic piece of driftwood, letting its gnarled character make the statement. Place these towers on either side of a garden path, near a gate, or at the transition to another garden room. To make the effect even more magical, add warm uplights at the base. At dusk, the stones glow softly while the driftwood casts intriguing shadows, turning your entry into a welcoming beacon. It's rustic, budget-friendly, and a project that transforms humble materials into timeless garden art. Two, Pebble-Skinned herb planter by the kitchen door. Sometimes the simplest upgrades can make your garden feel like a boutique retreat. This Pebble-Skinned herb planter is a perfect example. Practical, beautiful, and full of character. Begin by building a basic box frame from reclaimed wood or even leftover pallet boards. Once the frame is secure, line the inside with landscape fabric to keep the soil in place. Now comes the fun part. Butter the outer sides with strong construction adhesive and press smooth pebbles into the surface, almost like creating a mosaic. You can mix pebble colors for a lively pattern or keep to one tone for a calm, natural look. Fill the planter with quality potting soil, and tuck herbs such as rosemary, thyme, or basil around the edges. For a whimsical touch, paint the names of each herb on small flat stones and place them as labels in the soil. Positioned by a kitchen door, this planter not only provides fresh flavors for cooking but also greets you with fragrance and texture every time you step outside. It's a rustic, functional piece of garden art that you'll enjoy daily. Three, spiral pebble stepping stones to a secret seating nook. Stepping stones can be more than just a way to cross the garden. They can be little works of art beneath your feet. For this project, start with shallow trays or molds and fill them with mixed cement. While the surface is still damp, press in flat river pebbles to form spirals, leaves, or flowing wave patterns. Keep the pebble edges slightly recessed so the stones remain safe and non-slippery when walked on. Mist the molds occasionally as the cement cures, and allow them to harden fully before moving. Once cured, arrange the stones in a spiral that leads to a special corner of your garden, perhaps a rustic wooden bench or a shaded nook. Space the pavers at a natural stride apart so walking feels effortless. For added charm, tuck creeping thyme or moss between the stones, letting greenery soften the design over time. Each step becomes a mosaic moment, drawing you deeper into your own secret sanctuary. This DIY brings both function and artistry, transforming a simple path into a destination. Four, stone lantern trio under a pergola. Lighting can completely transform the way your garden feels, especially at night. These pebble lanterns are a beautiful blend of rustic charm and modern simplicity. Start by cutting wire mesh into rectangles and rolling them into cylinders. Secure the seams with sturdy garden wire so the shape holds. Fill each cylinder loosely with smooth river stones, leaving enough space in the center to slip in a solar puck or lead candle. To finish, add a piece of driftwood as a handle across the top, wiring it securely so the lantern can be lifted or hung safely. Arrange the lanterns in groups of 2 or 3 beneath a pergola, along a garden path, or beside a cozy seating area. As the sun sets, the light bounces through the gaps between the stones, creating a glow that feels like warm embers. Driftwood adds an organic touch, while the mesh structure keeps the design crisp and modern. These lanterns not only illuminate your evenings but also double as sculptural garden accents by day. Five, climbing rose driftwood arch at the garden gate. Few things make a garden feel more magical than stepping through an arch draped with climbing flowers. This project blends the strength of driftwood with the romance of roses. Begin by selecting 2 sturdy forked branches of similar height. Seat the bases securely into buried buckets filled with gravel and quick-setting concrete, ensuring stability. Once in place, lift a weathered driftwood crossbeam onto the forks and lash it tightly with natural rope for a rustic finish. Now comes the living beauty. Plant climbing roses at the base of each side and gently guide the stems upward as they grow. Over time, the arch will fill with lush foliage and delicate blooms, softening the wood and weaving nature into structure. Beneath the arch, lay a small pebble threshold to define the entry and provide contrast against the greenery. Position this piece at a garden gate or transition point between areas of your yard. The result is a welcoming portal that feels timeless, enchanting, and truly unforgettable. Six, driftwood pedestal bird bath with painted pebbles. A bird bath can be both a functional haven for wildlife and a piece of rustic garden art. To create this version, begin with a sturdy driftwood base, either a natural stump or a forked branch that can stand upright with stability. Level the top and place a shallow stone, ceramic, or metal bowl on it. Use flat pebbles underneath as shims if needed to keep it steady. Fill the bowl with fresh water and scatter smooth, colorful painted pebbles inside for charm and added traction. Be sure to include a small pebble ramp that leads into the water, making it safe and accessible for visiting birds. Position the bird bath in a spot that catches morning sunlight but benefits from afternoon shade to keep the water cool. Nestle it near shrubs or low branches, giving birds cover and confidence to approach. Within days, you'll notice feathered visitors stopping by to sip or splash. This project brings life, movement, and joy to your garden, turning a simple driftwood pedestal into a lively oasis. Seven, floating air plant cradles from branch forks. Air plants are wonderfully easy to care for, and when paired with rustic driftwood, they become living art that feels magical. To create these floating cradles, start by choosing forked twigs or small driftwood pieces with natural cups that can hold a tiny nest of pebbles. Drill a small pilot hole through the top of each fork and thread sturdy jute twine for hanging. Inside the cradle, glue or secure a few smooth pebbles to act as a stable base. Then gently place an air plant on top. Hang several of these cradles from a porch beam, pergola, or even sturdy tree branches, varying their lengths to create a mobile effect. The arrangement looks airy and serene, especially when a breeze sets them in motion. Care is simple. Mist the air plants weekly and rotate them occasionally to ensure even light exposure. Whether used in an outdoor porch or just under eaves, these whimsical cradles transform overlooked corners into a living display that feels both natural and artistic. It's a playful way to bring movement and life into your garden space. Eight, herb spiral stone garden beside the veggie patch. An herb spiral is both practical and visually striking, bringing function and beauty into a single design. Start by mapping out a spiral on the ground with string or chalk. Dry stack river stones along the outline, gradually stepping the walls higher as you build toward the center. Backfill the structure with quality soil as you go, creating a raised spiral mound. The magic of this design lies in the microclimates it creates. At the top of the spiral, where soil drains quickly and the sun shines brightest, plant drought-tolerant herbs like rosemary, thyme, and oregano. Toward the base, where moisture naturally collects, tuck in thirstier varieties such as basil, parsley, or mint. Mulch the surface with pebbles to help retain moisture and prevent weeds, while also giving the structure a clean, finished look. Position the spiral beside your vegetable patch so herbs and veggies are just steps away from each other. From above, the shape looks like living garden art, while at ground level, it offers a convenient, aromatic pantry right in your backyard. Nine, succulent shoreline dish with driftwood logs. Succulents are a gardener's best friend, low maintenance, drought-friendly, and endlessly stylish. This shoreline-inspired dish combines their sculptural beauty with rustic accents for a piece that looks as good indoors as it does outdoors. Begin with a shallow bowl or dish, ideally made of stone or ceramic for stability. Fill it with a gritty cactus mix that ensures excellent drainage. Next, arrange driftwood twigs across the surface, positioning them like weathered logs that naturally fell along a shore. In between these logs, tuck in your succulents. Choose a mix of forms, such as rosettes, bead-like strings, and trailing tendrils. To complete the design, sprinkle polished pebbles in a sweeping band that mimics a shoreline, leaving a few open sandy patches for visual contrast. Place this dish on a patio table, garden shelf, or even indoors near a sunny window. Water sparingly, letting the soil dry completely between sips. Over time, the plants will grow and settle, turning the composition into a living sculpture. It's a miniature landscape that blends the charm of driftwood, stone, and greenery into a tidy, elegant design. Ten pebble-covered terracotta pots on a patio ledge. Old terracotta pots don't have to stay plain. They can be turned into rustic jewelry for your garden. To create this project, begin by spreading a layer of thin-set mortar or strong outdoor adhesive across a section of your pot. While the surface is still tacky, press smooth pebbles into place, arranging them in patterns such as stripes, waves, or playful chevrons. Work in small areas so the mortar doesn't dry too quickly. Once the entire pot is covered, allow the mortar to cure, then lightly grout the gaps if needed for extra stability. Wipe the surface clean and, when dry, apply a sealer to bring out the natural shine of the stones while protecting them from weather. Now, fill your pot with soil and add a burst of color. Geraniums, daisies, or violas look especially striking against the pebble textures. Group 3 or more of these pots in varying sizes on a patio ledge or garden step for maximum effect. The combination of natural stone patterns with vibrant flowers creates rustic charm that feels handcrafted, unique, and timeless. (11) Flat stone rain chain with driftwood bracket into Pebble Basin. Why settle for a plain downspout when you can turn rainwater into moving art? This flat stone rain chain is both sculptural and functional, transforming storms into a garden show. Start by carefully drilling holes near the edges of smooth, flat stones using a diamond drill bit submerged in water. This prevents cracking and keeps the stones strong. Once you have your collection, connect the stones together with galvanized wire or split rings, leaving just enough space between each for water to drip from one to the next. Mount the chain from a pergola beam, roof corner, or gutter using a rustic driftwood bracket for a natural anchor point. At the base, place a shallow basin or pot filled with pebbles to catch the runoff and guide it into your beds. On rainy days, water dances down the stones in a soothing rhythm. On sunny days, the chain itself adds a striking rustic accent to your garden corner. With minimal cost and a little patience, you'll have created a functional water feature that doubles as outdoor art. (12) Faux pebble creek with a driftwood footbridge. A faux creek bed is a clever way to bring movement and texture into your garden, without needing running water. To build one, begin by tracing a meandering line across your yard where you want the creek to flow. Dig a shallow trough along this line, then lay landscape fabric inside to prevent weeds from creeping through. Next, Add larger rocks to the edges for definition, and fill the center with a mix of smooth pebbles and river stones to mimic a natural streambed. For an enchanting focal point, place a rustic driftwood plank across the creek to act as a simple footbridge. This small crossing feels like a whimsical detail that invites exploration. Plant drought-tolerant grasses, thyme, or low-ground covers along the banks, letting their blades arch slightly over the stones like riverbank plants. Even without water, the illusion is striking. On rainy days, the trough helps guide runoff, and on sunny days, the design looks like a quiet, natural stream. It's an eco-friendly feature that brings depth, structure, and serenity to your backyard. (13) Trellis ladder of long driftwood poles for grapes beans. A trellis doesn't have to be store-bought to look beautiful. This driftwood version is sculptural, sturdy, and perfect for supporting climbing plants. Start by selecting long driftwood poles of similar thickness. Arrange them in a ladder or fan-like shape, crossing them at intervals. Lash each intersection with natural rope or strong garden wire to keep the frame secure. For extra stability, sink the ends of the poles into buckets buried in the soil and fill them with stones for ballast. Once the trellis is standing, plant grapevines, beans, peas, or even flowering climbers at the base. Gently guide the first tendrils through the structure to help them get started. Over time, vines will cover the frame, turning it into a lush green wall. In winter, the bare trellis remains sculptural and artistic, while in spring and summer, it bursts alive with leaves, flowers, and fruit. This design is not only functional but also blends seamlessly with the rustic aesthetic of a vintage garden, offering year-round charm. (14) Driftwood-and-Pebble Border along a flower bed. A garden border can do more than just separate soil from path. It can become a rustic design feature that ties your whole landscape together. To create this driftwood and pebble border, begin by collecting straight branches or pieces of driftwood. Trim them into stakes and sharpen one end of each. Hammer the stakes into the ground along the edge of your flower bed, keeping the spacing consistent for a neat line. Next, pour a ribbon of smooth pebbles between the stakes and the soil. Rake the surface flat so the stones form a clean, even strip. You can mix different pebble sizes for a natural look or choose uniform chips for a crisp, modern feel. Over time, the driftwood will weather to a silvery patina that complements the stones, blending beautifully with your flowers. This border not only defines your beds and prevents mulch from spilling into the path, but it also adds coastal-inspired charm to your garden. A quick project with big impact. It turns a simple edge into a highlight that feels intentional and artistic. (15) Stone-filled orb on driftwood tripod. Garden sculptures don't have to come from galleries. They can be handmade, rustic, and deeply personal. This stone-filled orb is a striking example. Start by shaping welded wire mesh into a hollow globe. If you prefer, repurpose a ready-made wire sphere or plant cage. Fill the globe with smooth stones of different sizes, layering them until the sphere feels dense and balanced. For the base, select 3 sturdy driftwood forks. Trim their contact points so they sit securely together in a tripod formation. Lash or screw them at the top for stability. Nestle the stone orb gently into the tripod, adjusting until it feels steady and secure. Position the sculpture as a focal point in a garden bed, where light can play across the stone textures at golden hour. For added drama, create a grouping of 3 orbs in different sizes. The contrast of weathered wood and smooth stone feels timeless and museum-worthy, yet it's crafted entirely by hand. This rustic installation anchors your garden and offers interest in every season, with no watering or upkeep required. (16) Mason jar pebble luminaries lining a back patio. Lighting has the power to turn a backyard patio into a magical evening retreat. These mason jar pebble luminaries are a simple yet enchanting way to add atmosphere. Begin by filling the base of each mason jar with smooth pebbles. This not only stabilizes the jar but also diffuses the light beautifully. Choose whether to place a solar lid for convenience or a tea light for a flickering glow. For rustic charm, wrap the neck of each jar with jute twine, and if you like, add a small driftwood tag or charm for personality. Arrange the jars in a line along your patio edge, scatter them across garden steps, or cluster them as a glowing centerpiece on an outdoor table. As evening falls, the jars cast a warm, welcoming light that feels coastal and calm, while the pebbles inside catch and scatter the glow. Practical, low cost, and endlessly customizable, these luminaries add a handmade touch of elegance to any summer evening. They're the kind of project that proves even the simplest materials can create unforgettable garden magic. (17) Driftwood wind chime with tuned pebbles. Wind chimes add a layer of sound to your garden. Soft, calming notes that play whenever the breeze passes through. Creating one from driftwood and pebbles gives it a natural, handmade beauty. Start by choosing a sturdy, weathered piece of driftwood to act as the bar. Carefully drill small holes through smooth pebbles using a diamond bit underwater. This prevents cracks and keeps the stones strong. Thread fishing line or fine wire through each stone, staggering the lengths so they hang at slightly different heights. Secure them evenly along the driftwood bar, leaving space so they can touch lightly in the wind. Attach a strong loop of jute or wire at the top for hanging. Suspend your chime from a pergola, porch beam, or even a low tree branch where breezes can reach it. Larger stones create deeper tones, while smaller ones offer soft, tinkling sounds. Over time, the driftwood will weather further, the stones will polish, and the chime will mature into a rustic instrument shaped by nature itself. It's a soothing, meditative accent for your garden. (18) Fairy cottage of twigs with pebble chimney. Sometimes the most enchanting garden features are the ones you have to discover up close. This tiny fairy cottage brings a sense of wonder and storytelling into your backyard. To build it, gather small twigs, driftwood scraps, and a handful of pebbles. Begin by hot gluing the twigs together to form the cottage walls, then add a sloped roof made from bark or overlapping sticks. For the chimney, stack a few tiny pebbles, securing them with glue to create a rustic finish. Next, set the cottage into a shady corner of your garden. Beneath a shrub or by the edge of a flower bed works beautifully. Create a little path with flat stones leading to the door, and tuck moss around the edges for a natural, lived-in feel. Add whimsical details like a painted pebble mailbox, acorn caps as roof tiles, or a miniature driftwood bench. Children and adults alike will delight in finding this hidden gem, and it transforms an overlooked patch of soil into a storybook scene. It's a small project with big magic, sparking curiosity and imagination every time you pass by. (19) Hidden pump driftwood rill over pebbles into a mini pond. The sound of running water instantly transforms a garden into a calming retreat, and this hidden pump driftwood rill is a perfect example. To build it, begin by digging a shallow basin and lining it with a waterproof container or pond liner. Place a small submersible pump inside and cover it with a sturdy metal grate. Scatter smooth pebbles over the grate so the mechanics disappear, leaving only a natural-looking pebble bed. Position a hollow piece of driftwood above the basin and thread the pump tubing through it, so water flows gently from the logs opening onto the stones below. Adjust the flow until it trickles softly, creating a relaxing sound without splashing too far. Add a flat stone near the edge to serve as a bird landing perch, and surround the area with flowering plants for a lush finish. At night, a small waterproof light tucked beneath the stones can make the moving water shimmer like liquid silver. This feature not only masks neighborhood noise but also brings life, motion, and serenity into your backyard. (20) Pebble River Tablescape with air plants. Outdoor dining becomes unforgettable when the table itself feels like part of the garden. This Pebble River Tablescape is a simple idea that makes a big impression. Start with a clear table surface and lay a meandering line of smooth pebbles down the center, letting it flow naturally like a stream. Tuck in small pieces of driftwood along the banks to add rustic character and suggest natural fallen logs. For greenery, nestle a few air plants between the stones. They require no soil, making them perfect for tabletop displays. To finish, add glass votive candles or solar tea lights among the pebbles. The soft glow bounces off the stones at dusk, creating a relaxed, romantic atmosphere. And that wraps up our journey through 20 rustic garden creations made with nothing more than stones, driftwood, and a little imagination. Which project spoke to you most? Drop your thoughts and questions in the comments. I'd love to chat. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe for more garden inspiration, and share it with someone who loves DIY as much as you do. Every click helps keep this channel alive and growing. Until next time, keep creating beauty where you are. See you in the next video.